From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
And good morning to you. I'm Lauren Casey. Thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. We do have several stories to get to before we get into our show today. Let's kick it off with the latest COVID cases here reported in the state of Indiana by the State Department of Health. This is what the Department of Health told us as of yesterday at the lunch hour. We have 897 new cases reported in our state. The total number of cases since the start of the pandemic, more than 94,000 at this time. We do have new deaths reported that are people died with COVID-19, and the total number of people who died with COVID, 5 as of yesterday, bring the death toll to people dying with COVID to more than 3,000 in our state. So we're going to be taking a closer look at some of these numbers, some of the latest trends and positivity rates. That's all coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana. Taking a turn now to our forecast, Todd Clausen is standing by from home. And Todd, I know we have a chance of a little bit more of an active day across central Indiana. What have you got for us?
Yeah, it was a nice stretch of weather through the weekend, Lauren, and then yesterday was beautiful as well. One thing you'll notice this morning is the humidity is up a little bit. And for some of you, you're dealing with some patchy, dense fog out there. So that could be an issue on the roadways. And that fog, as usual, will be with us here throughout the morning until about 7, 8 o'clock. And once the sun comes up, we should burn that off. Temperatures are in the 60s right now. In most locations, 172 there in Muncie. It's 69 currently here in Indianapolis. So patchy, dense fog this morning. Overall, it's a mostly cloudy day, but we'll turn our attention to later on this afternoon as there will be the potential for some strong to maybe isolated severe storms rolling in here during those afternoon hours, probably anytime after 1 o'clock. Your high today is 82. We'll break down not only today, but the rest of the week, and look ahead to your Labor Day weekend forecast as well coming up in just a little bit. Lauren?
All right, Todd, thank you so much. We know several school districts are virtual right now, including IPS. They are completely virtual. And so they spoke to our Rafael Sanchez about their plans going forward as we look into the fall months, hoping to get back to some sort of in-person classes in October. So we're looking at what that means for the district. We're also talking to them about their funding concerns from the state and what that means for the district, what it means for students and families here in Marion County. So we'll have more on that story from our Rafael Sanchez coming up here in the 6 o'clock hour. Something else we want to talk to you about as part of our Hiring Hoosiers segment here. A new doggy daycare is opening today on the south side, and this isn't just a place to bring your pet for the day while you're at work or maybe while you're away. This program is also providing some big opportunities to adults with disabilities, giving them a chance to learn some job skills. It's a nonprofit, and we'll break down a little bit more about what you can expect here at Happy Hounds. That story's coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
An East Side father wants to know who killed his son. Now at 4:30, why police are still searching for the person who gunned down that teenager. Plus, it's a scary time for people who are struggling to pay their rent.
It's going to get a lot worse before it's going to get better.
This morning, we're looking at how a Hendricks County organization is helping families to keep a roof over their head. And the coronavirus pandemic is delivering a powerful hit to school budgets. This morning, why some schools say money promised by the federal government may not be enough to help protect their students. At 4:30, though, we want to welcome you into Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is standing by from home on this Tuesday. Todd, yesterday's weather was pretty nice out there, no complaints. So it's the first day of September, if you can believe it. It's crazy. Where did the summer go, right? I know we're still technically summer, but what can we expect as people head out the door for this first day of the new month?
Today's going to be a pretty typical summer day, Lauren. We still have the humidity, we have the chance of storms, but as you'll see in just a little bit in my 7-day planning forecast, there's kind of a little fall-like feel as we head into the Labor Day weekend. More on that coming up in just a little bit. As far as what's happening right now, I guess our immediate concern is going to be the potential for some dense fog that is out there. And I know you see a lot of numbers on the map here. The ones you really have to pay attention to are the locations where we are down below 1 mile, and that's Lafayette, Crawfordsville, Frankfort, Zionsville, only 0.2 of a mile, 0.4 of a mile, and Cloverdale. Fog is not as thick in the metro area or off to the east, but these visibilities likely going to fluctuate a little bit here during the course of the morning. 60s and 70s temperature-wise, so that's not an issue. Running warmer than it was yesterday with clear skies, but off to our west, you do notice some showers and storms. Those will be heading our way as we get into the afternoon hours, but we should be dry with just mostly cloudy skies through the 1 o'clock hour. After 1 o'clock, that's when the storms will start to build in. Temperatures in the 80s. We'll detail those storms for you hour by hour using TrueCast, Lauren, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads this morning. Heading south of the downtown area, this is what you can expect at I-65 and Keystone Avenue. This is part of a long-term bridge project, major construction going on in that area. So just be aware of that. They do have the southbound side of the bridge demolished, so the southbound lanes will shift over to the northbound side of the road. Northbound side restricted as well. You can see some flashing lights out there, so it's an active scene. So just be aware of that this morning. Let's take a look right now at I-70 all the way out of State Road 9 in the Greenfield area. You can see traffic here is pretty quiet this morning. We'll continue to keep our eyes on your roads throughout the day, and we'll let you know if there are any spots you need to avoid. Metro Police are investigating a shooting on the city's east side that sent a young woman to the hospital. The shooting happened just before 2 o'clock this morning on Shoreland Lane. That's near 21st and Mithofer. Police say juvenile female was shot in the apartment courtyard. She was rushed to Riley Hospital and is expected to survive. At this hour, police are not sure what led to that gunfire. It has been more than 7 weeks since a 16-year-old boy was shot and killed on the east side of Indianapolis. And this morning, his family is asking for your help as they continue to search for answers.
It feels like, that there's not going to be any justice. It feels like it's almost feeling like swept under the rug, so to speak, I guess, because there's so many other things going on in the world and the city.
Well, Braden Shiflett was one of 3 teens shot at a party near 24th and Sheridan back on July 11th. His father says there are still many unanswered questions in this case, including who shot his son and why. James Shiflett says that Braden likes to play basketball. He was part of a Christian group, Young Life, at North Central High School. And this morning, he hopes someone comes forward with information.
So we just want answers. We just want to know there's somebody out there that knows something, saw something. And that's all. I just want somebody to speak up because I don't want anybody else to have to go through this, especially to not know why and what reason there is behind not having your child with you anymore.
We are waiting to hear back from the detective working this case. If you have any information, you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously. It has been 1 year and 5 months, and there's still no sign of baby Amaya Robertson. The then 8-month-old was first reported missing on March 2019 from a home on South Holmes Avenue on the city's west side. Amaya's mother, Amber Robertson, reported her daughter missing on March 16th. It was later learned the infant had not been seen since March 9th. Police said that the baby's disappearance is being treated as a homicide investigation. On Monday, demonstrators rallied on the steps of the city-county building in downtown Indianapolis, seeking justice for baby Amaya.
Amaya did not get to have a voice. Amaya did not get to have a first birthday. Nope. Amaya did not get to have but a little bit of life. Less than 365 days on this earth. That makes us all angry. We're mothers out here. Every single person standing behind me is a mother. And this mother of this baby waited a whole week to report her child missing. In my eyes, that deserves some kind of criminal charges.
If you have any kind of information about baby Amaya's disappearance, you can call Crime Stoppers. You can remain anonymous. It is 4:35. The state of the U.S. Postal Service could still be an issue on the campaign trail leading up to the election. Postal workers in Indiana say the current mail delays are unprecedented. Nearly every morning, trucks leave the Indianapolis post office on South Street. But local postal workers say because of the new cost-cutting measures put in place by the U.S. Postmaster General, trucks are not full like they should be. The newly appointed postmaster mandated every truck to keep its schedule, even if it's empty. The cuts require postal trucks to leave sorting facilities by specific times each day. The changes are meant to improve efficiency and reduce overtime and extra trips. Local workers say they're seeing an impact.
Well, we've seen both, and it depends on the volumes of mail for the day. If we have a heavy volume day, that mail may not make the truck on time because they're telling us to stop the processing at a certain time. So there are cases where trucks may run empty or half full, and then instead of running an extra truck like we would traditionally have done, the mail sits until the next day.
WRTV Investigates reached out to the Postal Service. We received a statement saying, quote, on-time transportation has gone up from 89% to 97% in a few weeks, end quote. Since 2007, the Postal Service has experienced nearly $80 billion in cumulative losses. Postal workers are asking Congress for help. At 4:37, Indiana's eviction moratorium ended about 2 weeks ago, and so this morning some families are losing their homes. The organization Family Promise of Hendricks County is working to help those families. The director says on Monday alone, 28 evictions were filed in Hendricks County. One woman we spoke to says after working at a downtown hotel for decades, she was laid off in March due to the pandemic, and she's still waiting on unemployment benefits issued to be resolved, putting her in a desperate position.
My mortgage is behind, my utility is behind, I don't have any food. You know how many people are stressing out at home? We don't know what way to go. It's not only me, there is a lot of people.
Well, Family Promise assists people in several ways, including mediating with landlords, providing emergency housing, working with courts, and helping find new permanent housing. Leaders with the organization admit that things may get worse before they get better, but they have faith in the community.
2 months ago, we were in a place where we were scared, but at least we had a home and we had food and we had our utilities on. Now, we're still those same people with those same struggles, but we don't have that safety net anymore. And so we've got to pull together as a community to be able to help these families get through this hard time. And it will end and it will get better, but it's going to take all of us getting up that mountain together.
For more information about Family Promise, you can download the WRTV app. Now to the latest on the coronavirus and its impact here in Indiana. This morning, state health officials confirmed nearly 900 new coronavirus cases. This means since the pandemic started, more than 94,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. State health officials also report an additional 8 people have died with COVID-19. Since March, more than 3,000 Hoosiers with the coronavirus have died. Schools are struggling to afford masks, hand sanitizer, and other things they need this year to protect students and teachers. That's in addition to the cost of technology for that virtual learning. Newsy's Patrick Terpstra tells us that emergency aid from Congress has been slow to arrive and may not be enough.
So this would be the view of the classroom.
Erin McCarthy goes back to teaching 8th grade in Greendale, Wisconsin. She has fortified her classroom against coronavirus.
And this is what the social distance seating will look like.
On average, school systems around the country will spend $1.8 million preparing to reopen, buying PPE.
They need to make sure there's enough masks for everyone and shields and the plexiglass giant shield.
Hiring more janitors and school nurses.
Right now, it's like the attendance secretary is also the nurse in a pandemic, right?
There's also the expense of setting up online learning. Congress approved $13 billion for K-12 schools back in March to pay for COVID-related costs, but just 7% of that CARES Act aid has flowed down to schools so far. The money slowed by complex rules for how it can be spent.
Chairs are still stacked.
Districts, including McCarthy's, expect to finally get that federal aid in fall, but places such as Alachua County, Florida, already need another injection of cash from Washington.
Extremely important for schools, extremely. We just don't know what awaits us.
How difficult or not is it going to be to find the money to get teachers and students what they need?
Honestly, Patrick, I don't know. We're just taking it as we can.
Alachua County's board chair says COVID has them digging dangerously deep into a general fund, quickly getting shallow.
We expect a big cut mid-year, too, because the state revenues are down.
As the pandemic goes on, school systems may have to make some cuts.
And those aren't local dollars they had in their back pocket that was just sitting around in a line item with no purpose in the budget. To the contrary, school districts have to balance their budget every year.
Another challenge for schools trying to keep kids educated and safe. Patrick Terpstra, Newsy, Washington.
Well, there is some good news this morning. If you're looking for a warm winter getaway, American Airlines will soon offer a nonstop flight from Indy to Cancun. The flight will start on December 19th and run through April 3rd. You can already buy tickets for the new flight. The nonstop flight Cancun is just the latest addition to the growing nonstop roster at IND, which recently added nonstop flights to Memphis, St. Louis, Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Myers. Campaign season is in full swing as we race towards Election Day. Coming up, how civil unrest in some states is now taking center stage on the campaign trail. Plus, could lathering on the hand sanitizer be creating a new problem? We're working for you this morning with issues doctors are now worried about. Todd.
And Lauren, it's all quiet right now. We have a little bit of patchy fog across parts of central Indiana, but as we look forward to the afternoon hours, we'll start to track some scattered showers and storms into our area. See them off to our west. There's the possibility a couple of them could be borderline strong to severe. We'll talk about that and look ahead to the rest of your work week for you coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
As the fall campaign swings into full gear, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden is accusing President Trump of failing to keep Americans safe amid the pandemic and civil unrest. ABC's Inez de la Catera is in Washington this morning with how President Trump is now hitting back.
With the election now 63 days away, Democratic nominee Joe Biden hitting the campaign trail and accusing the president of failing to keep Americans safe.
We're facing multiple crises. Crises under Donald Trump have kept multiplying.
Biden arguing Trump is a failed leader for his mishandling of the pandemic.
Do you know what people are afraid of in America? They're afraid they're going to get COVID. They're afraid they're going to get sick and die. And that is in no small part, it's because of you.
And shrugging off the president's accusations that he is soft on crime.
Ask yourself, do I look like a radical socialist with a soft spot for rioters? Really? I want a safe America.
President Trump hitting back.
We have to stop this horrible left-wing ideology that seems to be permeating our country. And basically, it's weakness on behalf of Democrat politicians.
Trump set to visit Kenosha, Wisconsin today, which is at the heart of a new wave of protests in the aftermath of Jacob Blake's shooting. But Wisconsin's governor and Kenosha's mayor urging President Trump to stay away, arguing his visit would do little to heal the city's wounds. Overnight, the president said he still plans to go.
It could increase love and respect for our country.
The president also defended Kyle Rittenhouse, the teenager accused of fatally shooting two demonstrators in Kenosha.
He was trying to get away from them, I guess. He probably would have been killed. It's under investigation.
Trump did say he does not believe private citizens should be taking up arms at protests, but he declined to condemn a caravan of his supporters in Portland who clashed with protesters demanding racial justice. Inez de la Catera, ABC News, Washington.
Violent protests and civil unrest might seem like a boiling point, but one scientist says that he predicted this back in 2010. Peter Turchin is a scientist at the University of Connecticut. He used a mathematical formula to develop a prediction based on a variety of factors. In 2010, his report revealed outbursts of unrest every 50 years, dating back to the 1870s, and happened after certain risk factors were reached. Turchin says his models show it could take 10 to 15 years for the unrest to completely settle. If it feels like you paid more to fill up your tank last week, you're probably right. AAA reports the national price of gas spiked about 5 cents to an average of $2.23. You could thank Hurricane Laura for that and an increase in demand ahead of the storm. But prices should trend down in the week ahead as oil production facilities in the Texas region are opening back up. According to AAA, the national average is still sitting at 35 cents cheaper than the same time last year. At 4:48 on our Tuesday, let's get a check of our forecast for this first day of September. Todd, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, Lauren. Hard to believe, right? Here we are pushing towards a Labor Day weekend as we go into the next coming days. On this first day of September, you're walking out to pretty warm conditions, but also a little bit of patchy fog. Here's a live look in Greencastle, and you can't see really too much in the way of fog there. Maybe off in the distance there as you look to the lights, but immediate there across the campus of DePaul University. The streets are just fine. Temperatures this morning sitting in the 60s and 70s. The humidity, that kind of came up a little bit yesterday. You probably noticed it during the evening hours after a real comfortable start to the day yesterday. 64 in Kokomo right now, 72 in Muncie, 69 is the current temperature in Greenwood. And here is your visibilities. Here are your visibilities across the area right now. Rushville, 4 tenths, 2 tenths in Shelbyville, 4 tenths in Fishers. a half mile over in Rockville, Bloomington down to 0.8 of a mile. So these visibilities have come down just a little bit. It's not a big issue in the metro area or at the airport where visibility is still over 5 miles. So just be aware of it as you get there on the roadways here this morning, and just know that the fog will be with us potentially through about 8, 9 o'clock, and then after that we should burn it off pretty quickly once the sun comes up. Now, once the sun does come up, it's going to be hidden behind quite a bit of cloud cover throughout the day, maybe some sunshine here this morning, and then storm chances will build in as we work our way into the afternoon hours with highs that'll top off right around 82 to 83 degrees, which is seasonable for this time of year. And as far as the rain chances go, you can see we're mainly clear right now. That's one of the reasons why we had the patchy fog settle in to the area. But back off to the west, you notice that there's some showers and storms near Omaha, down towards Dallas, into Arkansas now. And all that's going to start to work its way into our area as we go throughout the course of the afternoon and evening hours. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has us under the marginal risk for severe weather in the area you see in green, which is most of central Indiana. And the main threat would be some gusty winds with these storms as they roll in here. And as we work our way into the afternoon hours, you can see the storm coverage will increase. I don't think it's anything widespread here later on this afternoon. It's just an isolated storm chance here or there. And then overnight, maybe a little better chance of a stronger storm or two rolling through here. So definitely don't cancel plans if you have them this afternoon, but just know that there will be some storms possible. Sunset tonight, hard to believe, getting earlier and earlier, 8:15 this evening. Looking ahead at your 7-day planning forecast, it remains a little unsettled tomorrow and Thursday. But then as we head into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, a beautiful stretch of weather, highs in the 70s. And look at those low temperatures as we get into Labor Day weekend, down into the low to mid 50s probably on Saturday morning. And then Labor Day itself on Monday. The chance of some scattered storms. Lauren, returning to the forecast.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads at this early hour to start your Tuesday. This is to our west, I-74 here, a view near Dandy Trail. You can see traffic down below is traveling up to speed both eastbound and westbound. Now monitoring any major problems for your commute. Of course, we'll continue to keep our eyes on your roads and keep you updated. So we're working for you this morning with a new warning about the overuse of those alcohol-based hand sanitizers. A British doctor says relying on hand sanitizers rather than washing your hands with soap and water could create superbugs. The report says alcohol-based hand sanitizers do not kill every bug. The surviving bugs can then adapt to survive, which makes them stronger and more dangerous. His report says proper hand washing rinses germs off the hand and does not give them a chance to adapt. This morning, military dad is home with his family, but he's having to become familiar with some new additions. We'll explain just after the break. And September is Suicide Prevention Month. Coming up, all new at 5, how one local organization is working to bring awareness to the issue and providing resources to those in need. It is 4:52. Stick around. We'll be right back here on Good Morning Indiana. Welcome back. So an Arizona serviceman deployed for 9 months is now home, and he's getting acquainted with his new family members this morning. Will Thompson is a military canine handler. His wife, 2-year-old daughter, and son Luke greeted him at the airport. This was Will's first time meeting baby Luke. The 9-month-old was born while he was serving in the Middle East. Thompson says his canine Frida helped him to cope with missing his kids and wife while he was deployed. Oh, I love that story. All right, Todd, as people are heading out there on this Tuesday, what can they expect in their forecast?
You know, the first thing, Lauren, is a little bit of patchy fog here this morning, but that'll burn off pretty quickly here this morning, and then we'll be on the lookout later on this afternoon for some scattered storms rolling in here. 82 today, 84, still pretty muggy tomorrow with some showers and storms once again in the forecast on a scattered basis, and then a beautiful stretch of weather for the start of the Labor Day weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, lots of sunshine, cool temperatures in the morning in the 50s, then you see the highs there in the 70s and 80s, and then on Labor Day itself, we could bring in the chance of some scattered storms with a high of 76. But all in all, if you do have plans this upcoming holiday weekend, it looks to be pretty nice across the area. We'll talk more about the storm chances for today coming up at 5 o'clock when Raphael joins Lauren and I. The time now is 4:57. Stay with us. We'll back in just a couple minutes.